Hello students, in this video we are going to discuss the next part, that is the errors. Now since we have understood what is accuracy, what is precision, so we should know what are errors now, because now only the errors comes into picture, and errors only define what is, how much accurate the result is, how much deviation is there. So that is only we express in terms of errors. Okay, now errors are majorly of two types. Before that, let me tell you, this accuracy is expressed in terms of absolute or relative error. You know what is absolute error? That is the value from the expected value, and this is the true values. Okay, what you should get it theoretically. So theoretical value minus the expected value will get the error, and percentage relative error is this formula. We are multiplying it by 100 and dividing by the expected value. So errors are mainly of two types: determinate errors and indeterminate errors. Determinate means you can determine them, you can figure out because of what the error has come. So these affect the accuracy of analysis and characterized by systematic deviation from the true value. Systematic means you can figure out what is the problem. How you will figure out? Let's discuss. They are those errors that are determinable and hence avoided. The types are instrumental errors. Faulty equipment, uncalibrated weights and glassware give this type of errors. Operative errors. This include personal errors. For example, incomplete drying of the samples, like sometimes you report the weight and the weight is more than the raw material you have taken because you have not dried it completely. The calculation mistake, which is very often you do. Noting down the wrong volume during the titration. Sometimes you note down the wrong volume, you have not put the because of the parallax error, or while talking to your friends you note down the wrong value. So these are operative errors. So in case you repeat the titration, you will not do these errors, you will just be careful. Errors of method. For example, co-precipitation of impurities. Sometimes other impurities also precipitate, like we were doing with DMG, nickel DMG. So sometimes in case you increase the pH, what happens? Nickel hydroxide can precipitate, right? Incomplete reactions. In some reactions you have taken less of the ligand or less of the metal salt. Their concentration or stoichiometry is not very perfect. So then what happens? Some of part will remain unreacted, so the incomplete reaction is there. So the final product, when you report the yield is less what is expected. So these are the errors which you can take care and remove. These are called systematic errors. Now in order to detect the systematic errors, it is a common practice to add a known amount of standard to a sample and measure its recovery. So sometimes it happens that we are not able to remove this systematic error directly by it's not operative, it's instrumental. Suppose you know that your weighing balance generally weighs 1.1 gram more or 0.1 gram less. So what you do, in all the readings, you can just deduct 0.1 gram, that's all. Or you can weigh 0.1 gram more. So similarly, you can have a common practice and you can nullify the error that time. So these are called determinate errors. Now discuss the other part, which is the major part, that is indeterminate errors, because of which this whole story starts, and we need to concentrate on different methods of preparing and understanding and studying. So this is indeterminate error or random errors. These are the accidental errors revealed by small differences in successive measurements by the same analyst under virtually identical conditions. They follow the laws of probability and thus follow the errors. Okay, so these are the accidental errors which are revealed by small difference in successive measurements. What do we understand by that? That you don't know, suddenly the error has come, suddenly your weather has gone down, your ice has melted, you have not taken care of all that, temperature has gone down and you have not taken care. Or something you have spilled, 2-3 drops you have added extra. So those are accidental errors which are indeterminate and which can be removed only by, how it can be removed? Once you repeat the experiment. Okay. Now suppose you don't want to repeat the experiment, or every time you can't remove it, these indeterminate errors. So what to do? So we generally, whether this error is allowed or we can accept those values, to figure out that, we go for a normal distribution curve or Gaussian curve. What do you mean by that? Suppose an experiment you have done where you are expected to get a yield of some or a value of somewhere around 4. It can be a yield, it can be a value or titration or something. Now you are not getting 4, you are getting 2. Now whether you can accept the 2 value or not without repeating an experiment, how to figure out? So we are going to understand that through normal distribution curve and how many values are lying above ahead of it, we are going to understand that. So normal distribution or Gaussian curve. The symbol sigma represents the standard deviation of an infinite population of measurement, and this measurement of precision defines the spread of normal population distribution. What I want to say here is normal distribution curve or Gaussian curve means always the curve will be bell shaped first of all. Now this symbol sigma represents the standard deviation of an infinite population of measurements. We have done an infinite population of measurements, that's why it has not gone to 0. Now what I want to show you here is the shape is bell curve always whenever there is an indeterminate error. And in that indeterminate error, this is the mean which is at the center 0, and we have to see how much deviation is there from the mean for the values. So what you can see is 68% of the values are deviated only by plus minus sigma. 95% are deviated by plus minus 2 sigma, and more than that around 99% are deviated by plus minus 3 sigma. That means the major values are lying from here to here. That is the standard deviation from the mean graph. What I want to reiterate again is always on a normal distribution curve, always it happens for any values, any number of set of data, 68.3 of the data fall within 1 sigma on either side of the mean, 95%, 5.5% of the data fall within 2 sigma on either side of the mean, and 99.7% of the data fall within 3 sigma on either side. So what do you understand from this? That is, more precise the data are, less tight the data are, and larger the sigma. So in graph, so what happens in graph? Let me discuss it again. What happened in this graph? In this graph, this is the mean value. Okay. Now we are seeing that when we have made the measurements, some of the measurements are lying from here to here, but they are only 68%, which are very close to the accurate value. Most of the measurements are lying from here to here, that is a 95% accuracy. Okay, and here it is 99.5%. So we see, in case our most of the values, or if we do an experiment and we have got a value, if it lies within this 95% range, then we can expect, and then we are sure that we can accept those values generally. If it is lying out of the range of this 95% interval, then we see whether it is lying way beyond, we can accept them or not. So most of the time we accept them when they are lying here. So what we see, the standard deviation, most of the time 68% are standard deviated only plus minus sigma, 95% are deviated about plus minus 2 sigma, and 99.5% are deviated this much. So how you are going to get a question is on this graph. You are expected to answer a theoretical question in case it comes, that how much deviation is allowed in this normal distribution curve. There is one more graph I have prepared, and you can just try to understand this graph. This is again a mean value, and these are the three graphs I have shown, A, B and C. Here the sigma square in A is 25, in B it is 100, and C it is 400. When we calculate it is similar to this graph, just shown in terms of digits. Okay. Now what we see is, as sigma square value decreases, so obviously the precision increases. The tightness of the values increases and the precision increases. In this case, the precision decreases and your obviously the accuracy also, but the graph becomes more spreaded. In this case also the graph spreads. So but what happens to the resultant standard deviation? Resultant standard deviation stays same whether it is thin or thick. Because in case it is a thin graph, the height increases. If it is a thick graph, the height decreases. So standard deviation stays constant. Okay, so this is how you have to explain this normal distribution curve, which is directly in your syllabus in case a theoretical question comes. And that's all for this standard deviation curve. We are going to discuss rest in the next video.